employee and student, what are we doing about that? How are we ensuring that that student who might be capable of doing one of these horrific crimes, how are we dealing with that student to make sure he doesn't do that? And the security system isn't going to help in that at all. It's not going to prevent that student from doing what he's might intend to do. So I'm really concerned that this is just money totally wasted, because it's not going to accomplish what I think townspeople would like to see happen: make their kids safe in school. And I don't know. I mean, if you guys have any input that you can share with us that might give us a reason as to why we need to go to this electronic type of a security system, and you know, why procedures internal to the school system wouldn't be far more beneficial in the long run. And also with this, how do you staff this? Like Mr. Dunning said, who's going to watch the monitors? You know, if you just have monitors running, it's not going to serve any purpose. And people are going to come and go in the school anyways. So I don't know. I'd like to think that you could share a little bit of information with us, so we can think about it before.
Mr. Londo, I suggest you save your questions for a town meeting when the school committee presents it. They did form a committee, and the committee is staffed with some security professionals. I know that. And they have a report. They have a document they put together, and I'm sure they're prepared to make a presentation. I don't think the board has all the answers.
We don't have the answers either.
No, I know some of it. I know, as a matter of fact, right now they have staff sitting in, teaching staff sitting in the hallways during every period, you know, by the front doors of the high school, and I believe the middle school too, as far as monitoring the entrance and egress of people coming and entering the school, because we don't have a buzzer system. We don't have a camera and buzzer system to allow guests to come in and go to the office. And the way that the schools are configured, it isn't necessarily set up ideally right now, because the school wasn't designed that way. I mean, if we're going to design a new school, it'd be a little bit different. We couldn't get by at the office. But that's not the case. Right now, they have staff monitoring the hallways and the entranceway, main entrances to the building on a regular basis. I mean, I know I have to go down to high school myself recently, give something to my son, and greeted at the door by a teacher. So I mean, they're already expending human resources instead of putting them in the classroom. They're sitting them in the lobby. So I think that's part of it too. But as far as monitoring it, I mean, you know, I deal with banks all the time. I mean, they have the monitoring systems there to protect the employees and to tape what's going on in case of a bank robbery or anything like that goes on. And again, if there's an incident going on, whether it be in the schools or whether it be in a bank facility, again, the police department also weighed in, not very heavily as far as the video. I don't know if the chairman isn't opposed to the video section, because that assists the police and fire department should an incident occur as to either what's actually happening at that particular moment or what happened. You know, as far as going back and find out exactly what's going on in the situation presenting itself. So, I mean, I don't like the idea of locking the doors, keeping them functional. And there have been incidents across the country where outside intruders have caused some harm inside the school systems. So, I think that's what they have to look at, weigh, and I think they have. But I'm sure they're going to have a major presentation on that.
The other thing is too, when you lock the doors, you lock them from help from getting in as well. So it may delay the crews that are coming in to assist from doing their job, particularly if the area where you can open the doors is restricted. Because obviously, if somebody's inside and they want to prevent people from coming in, that's the first thing they're going to do. I mean, you know, you got to look at the whole picture. And again, you know, you cited, you know, monitors and banks and whatnot. None of these examples have prevented the incident from happening. And I think that that's really where we want to focus our attention. If we're going to do anything, how do we prevent it from happening? Not to get a video of the horrific event.
As far as the locks coming in and having the buzz guests in, obviously that's a deterrent.
But my other question is, you know, maybe having the monitor there is the best way to deal with this, because they're not only looking at the doorways, they're looking at the monitors, they're being observant of the students. So that might be the most cost-effective way to do it.
I think it's time to move on to Article 7, capital expenditures.
Board members, just to
pick up on the point that's been discussed, also in the note from the superintendent of schools. As you read further down his correspondence, he indicates that in addition to the warrant article for $400,000, the school committee would anticipate the capital budget request would provide one-year funding, and the one-year funding request would be $223,883. And for the purposes of the capital plan, I just wanted to note that that number is different than what I had proposed for funding of $150,000. So I didn't know whether the board, this was the appropriate time to consider the number for one-year funding for the schools, which would be $223,883 in lieu of the $150,000 that's been put forth here. And I just want to mention that to you because obviously if we go to town meeting, there may be an amendment made by the school committee to increase that amount up to $223,883. The remaining capital items that are here, yes.
I was going to recommend tonight that we remove it from the article since they were making a request, a separate request in the Article 6. So,
Well, I don't think I've heard the board say that we wanted to remove it. I mean, we're talking
no,
about
I
the difference
didn't,
of
no,
as far
I
as
didn't say the
phasing
board.
in one of the-
Steve, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I wasn't implying the board. I said I was going to suggest.
Oh, okay. I think even
But just
talking about
I- I-
three-year
I
plan,
think-
phasing it or playing it all at once.
I think our original plan was is that if Article 6 passes, then we would remain 7.
Well, of course,
That's
and
what-
and that goes what I was
If
saying.
it doesn't pass, then
That's
the
what I
question is,
understand.
I guess, you're saying the question is, do we up that to 223?
Which is the first year of the three-year plan.
And then that would be borrowed.
Yes, it would be.
just be.
Yes, it would.
Well, I think we'll have to make that decision on town meeting floor, based on if Article 6 passes or fails.
Well, just looking at the three-year plan. the
Right,
first
they were
year-
asking for $248,000 less, $200,000. Right?
That's 248,000, less than 25.
Yeah.
Right.
Less than 25,000 is left over from the back of the school. And the bulk of it, again, Bob, your biggest concern was the access controls rather than the monitoring? I'm just looking at the plan in the first year.
I thought, I asked the question, what are we trying to prevent or solve? And when I look at, I think Mr. Longo spelled that out even better than I. He says, typically the incidents occur from a student that is disturbed or bothered or has got a gripe, and we're not preventing the students from coming in. So we need a different kind of program to deal with that. But if an event took place, and if you look at some of the incidents that occurred across the country, you see, you hear gunshots in a building, you see policemen outside behind armament, trying to figure out what to do. So I thought that cameras inside the building that they could connect to would perhaps buy them a few more minutes or a few seconds that they might be able to save a life or prevent further injury. And beyond that, cameras in the corridors might help the school department out, and I don't think this is a secondary effect, but if there's vandalism or something going on, that might help them get to the bottom of that kind of issue too. So I thought that the video monitoring was more important than locking the doors, because I figured, who are you locking the doors for?
If you look at their plan for the 248,000 less than 25, 173,383 is for the video surveillance, first phase of it, about $91,000 for the second year. And then middle school office, again, and over 11, card access, keypads, and the audible alarm, about $50,000. So the bulk of what they're talking about now is the video.
Yeah.
So if it's the 150s in the company. So obviously.
No, in fact, the superintendent was pretty clear on that. He said that 150 probably doesn't get, my first level of priority. He said it's not 150, 150, 150, and they broke the plan down. I understood.
First proposal we made though was 123,000 when we first talked about it. The first year was 123,000, and now they're coming in saying 240.
Well, they're not here to answer the question.
Just for the record, I'd be in favor of adopting their plan, and if the first year phase in is $223,000, we include that in our capital outlay. I'm not going to pretend to second guess them as far as, I know they've given a lot of thought, they formulated special committee with security experts, and trying to formulate a plan to best implement the most cost-effective way to do so. We came up with, the administration came up with $150,000 somehow, somewhere.
Well, that was the base, the original number, as Selectman Dardino pointed out, was closer to $130,000. And we just took that number and carried it, but it was a lower number.
They were actually higher than what they asked for the first year. They changed it.
Well, where are we going with this? You're proposing that we adopt
But
the request?
if Article 6 doesn't pass, then I think we should be prepared to phase in their plan over 3 years, which would do 3 separate votes, as Mr. Nardino suggested. And the first phase they've suggested is $223,883.
We have to amend it anyways, why can't we wait till October, till then?
Well, I think it would be fair to let them know that
Well,
if 6 fails, we're going to support the program.
We don't have to make an amendment on town meeting floor.
We just include it as part of the main vote.
We make it as part of the main motion. So the question is, we want the town administrator who's going to have the main motions prepared, although we can mark them up on town meeting floor to support the 223.
Question.
Has to be.
If I'm hearing this right now, what we're saying that if Article 6 fails, they say no to Article 6, that we give them the money through Article 7 in the capital?
Well, yeah, I would look upon that as
Look
they
at
don't
the
want to
first
put all,
year.
they don't want to put it all up front. But
Well,
I think a
but
town meeting may vote no anyway.
what if they don't want it?
If they don't want it, then that could be amended right up, excluded, or someone make an amendment, take it out. Same thing would happen.
Well, I
If
think
the majority of people were opposed to the
I think-
whole idea, then that would.
Yeah, but how are we
pass
going to
anyway.
know that? That's the problem. How are we going to know that? How are we going to be able to tell if they're opposed to it because of the money or because of just the project?
Because, first of all, by the discussion, and secondly, someone can make an amendment to it to take that money out of the main motion. And if the amendment prevails to take it out, it gets taken out. The moderator can divide the question, which is what he's probably going to do on each one anyway. Generally, historically, they divide the question and vote on each article, each item individually anyway. So people get to vote up and down.
Because if Article 6 fails because they do not want it, they don't think we need it or do not want it, I'm not going to support putting the money in Article 7 to bring it in the back door, so to say. I won't do that.
No, but that's what if.
Yeah, I'm just...
But if the discussion is, they don't want to do it all in one
Right,
fell swoop,
right.
as you could.
So I think the answer is that we're not going to make this decision until town meeting, right after Article 6. So, Mr. Belconis, it would be, could you prepare 2 motions for capital? One with the 150, and with the 224, whatever. Okay. Shall we, are there any other issues on this list or any questions? Police cruisers and equipment. Fire thermal imaging camera. I'll read the amounts to $49,177 for police cruisers and equipment. That's 2 cruisers,
1 cruiser.
or 1 cruiser and the associated equipment go with it.
Correct, and there's some technology items that are in there.
There's another computer for a second.
Laptop computer.
Oh, there's 2.
And there's the changeover in the equipment.
It's the one car.
Right. Fire thermal image cameras, $28,000. DPW road program, $250,000. Mr. Hammond, comment? DPW Park Street Bridge.